Hello, hi, Merry Christmas. Here's a random video of me playing touch football if you ever get bored. So as you know, the TFL, Champions League, Europa League, and Conference league tables have finished. I will be showing y'all the final standings and the knockout stages, just so you guys can understand what is going to be happening in future videos if I ever record those matches. So as you know, the Conference League standings are over. Each team has played 4 games, and I will be telling you how the placements work in all of the 3 competitions. To finish in the quarterfinals, you must get a top 4 placement out of 16. This is the best spot you want to be. And once you get into the top 4, you have already qualified for the quarterfinals. You don't have to play any extra games or you're knocked out. 5th to 12th, they have to play an extra game called the playoffs. The winner of those will be going against the teams in the quarterfinals that qualify, or whatever, you know what I mean. And the teams that have finished 13th to 16th, they are out. They will be playing no longer European competitions and will most likely have to wait next season, which would be season 7, in order to play again. I will now be showing you the teams that have advanced to quarterfinals after their playoff games. We can see here that Athletic Bilbao are out, so are Newcastle, Atalanta, and Famalicão. Here are the knockouts for the Conference League. Some of these games will definitely not be recorded as there's too many games to record in one day. In the knockout stages, we can see Stuttgart is going against Marseille, Boavista Porto is going against Lens, Lyon's going against Manchester City, and Rennes is going against Union Berlin. These teams will fight each other to win and get a place in the final, and possibly even win the Conference League. Now we're moving on to the Europa League. We can see that these teams are a lot better than the Conference League teams, and I will now be saying who has qualified to the quarterfinals, who's in the playoffs, and who are out. Now for these teams, the top 4 will immediately go to the quarterfinals, like I said, for the Conference League. 5th to 12th, same for them, Europa League playoffs, and 13th to 16th, they are out. Now for the Europa League playoffs, we can see some big results here, like Wolfsburg being Roma, Serie A derby, Inter beat AC Milan, Valencia beat Frankfurt, and a shock Lille destroy Arsenal out of this competition. They will be moving on to the Europa League knockouts. Now we move on to the Europa League knockouts. We can see some big games here. Inter Milan versus Aston Villa, Wolfsburg versus Lille, Villarreal versus Chelsea, and Nice versus Valencia. Once the games are done, the finals will commence and the winner will win the Europa League. But not only that, they will also have a qualification to the Super Cup against the Champions League winners, as I will talk about the Champions League later on in this video. Now we finally move on to the Champions League, the biggest competition out of the 3, the hardest competition to win. Here are the league tables of the Champions League. These teams are the best of the best in TFL. No one can beat them. These 4 teams, Manchester United, Paris Saint-Germain, Napoli, and Liverpool, these teams have immediately qualified to the Champions League knockouts. So they won't be able to play an extra game because they are the best of the best. Now we move on to the playoffs of the Champions League. These teams will have to play another game to qualify to the knockouts. You can see here some big teams, big names: Real Madrid, Sevilla, Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Juventus, Tottenham Hotspurs, Fiorentina, Bayer Leverkusen. These teams have to play an extra game to get to where the big teams are. And lastly, the teams that didn't do so great in this competition, maybe not enough. The bottom 4: Sporting, Benfica, Barcelona, and Monaco. These teams have struggled to get into a place they needed to be to qualify to the next round. Now, if you're wondering if the Champions League playoff games are done, yes, they are. Some big teams are out in this competition and will no longer be able to play any more games in Season 6. Here are the games. Here are the final results of the Champions League playoffs. Real Madrid come back against Borussia Dortmund 3-2. Juventus having some troubles against Fiorentina but managed to stay in the competition. Sevilla and Bayer Leverkusen, a fair play game. Sevilla win. And Bayern Munich beat Spurs with a good first leg but a terrible second leg. Now we move on to the Champions League knockouts. Right, this is it. The best teams in the Champions League. We've got Paris Saint-Germain versus Liverpool, Sevilla versus Real Madrid, Juventus versus Bayern Munich, and finally Napoli versus Manchester United. These teams will battle out to the finals, in which the winner of the finals will win the Champions League and be in the Super Cup versus the team that wins in the Europa League. Good luck.